Good morning, everyone. Welcome to what Peter has noted and Renee has noted, hopefully the last virtual meeting that we'll have. We're looking forward to seeing everyone. I want to thank Troy Donovan, Dave Redmond for helping out this year, putting together a terrific group of sponsors. And we're going to take some time this morning to say thank you and acknowledge their support. We would, as Peter says, encourage you to visit our website when possible. Each of our sponsors' logos are hyperlinked either back to their website or back to a social media page. So in no particular order, I'm pleased to introduce the first six of our very important sponsors. Tyler Whaley and his team from Thousand Islands Cottage Services. Tyler, thank you for being here this year. Longtime supporter, Gan Shev, Jamie Hall, always in our corner and always there to help us out. Friend and supporter of TIA on a number of different levels is John Pilo from Pilo Engineering. The Brockville Adventure Center and Avic Scuba. We want to thank Helen Cooper for diving in to support TIA this year. We'll hear from Helen later in the meeting. Steve Smith and his company out of Brockville, Hansler Smith. And of course, John and Shelley Moines for Quality Marine. They're back again this year, and we really want to say thank you. A heartfelt thanks to all of our sponsors noted here in our first slide. You know, it was really difficult the last couple of years. We had high water levels in 17, 19. We were dealing with COVID. And I know for the entire business sponsorship committee, we were certainly sensitive to picking up the phone and calling businesses that were struggling with challenges that perhaps they never had to encounter and manage their way through ever in the history of their businesses. And response levels, not only last year, but certainly this year, have been overwhelming. And our next group of sponsors are certainly an important part of what we do. And we'd like to give a shout out to American Bait Works, a brand new sponsor for TIA this year. We thank them very much. Ken O'Connor, Ken, your team, everyone there is absolutely amazing. Your donation of cement blocks has been unprecedented and certainly deeply appreciated. Dave Redmond at Redmond Realty. This is a strange one for us because not only does Dave give us countless hours in picking up the phone and chasing people for money, when he's done all of that, he turns around and writes a check to us for $500. So if we could find more people like Dave who would help us and then pay us to allow them to help us, that would be pretty terrific. Quinty Canvas Manufacturing, Dave, we have to say thank you. You came out of the blue. We had no idea that you were thinking of us, and we really appreciate your sponsorship this year. And then a big shout out to Chris Pereira and Scott Way at Boat Blurb. Boat Blurb and BoatDealers.ca is a Chris Pereira type company, and they stepped up in thanks to Tim Lanigan from the Ivy Club, who put us in touch with them. And Boat Blurb has certainly done their part in supporting and promoting TIA, and we thank each and every one of them. So a big shout out to these six. Thanks to the next group of Admiral sponsors. We'd like to give a big shout out to Scott, Mark, Nathan, the gang from Hucks Marine, one of Canada's oldest companies. Their roots in the river community date back as far as 1889. So we think we're old. We're 87 years old. It makes us look like a youngin' compared to Hucks. Captain Matt Bradley, he braves all kinds of weather. He's out there assisting those in need from sea to Thousand Islands. And you can imagine some of the challenges that Matt must face. When he gets a phone call, he knows he's in trouble.
How do I have to start my video?
Jason Clark and the team from St. Lawrence Cruise Lines. It's a family built and operated Canadian business, and they've got over 40 years of experience in the cruise industry. And certainly we spoke earlier about COVID and some of the challenges of COVID, and there's been no industry hit harder than the cruise industry and the tour boat industry. So thanks to Jason for being there this year. Sean Brophy from Spaces Storage Group. A thank you to Sean for his support recently. TIA has set up a dedicated storage facility with the help of Tim Lanigan and Joe Powell from the Ivy. And we now have our very own storage unit. And thanks to Sean for helping with that. Chris Pereira, again, the BoatDealers.ca is the #1 boats for sale site in Canada. And it's astounding to realize that they assist over 2 million boat buyers annually in the discovery of new boats and used boats. So Chris, thank you again. And finally, an old but familiar name, we mentioned Ian in the presentation, but certainly Ian and his group, we couldn't do what we do without their help. So thank you very much. Our next group of Admiral sponsors includes everything from finding your next dream home, taking that property, installing a new dock to hold your new boat that you use to follow the most familiar tour boat in the area as you make your way to dinner at one of the most recognized and respected river restaurants and marinas. Group number 4 includes Georgina Ratcliffe of Chestnut Park Realty. Georgina, thank you for not only sponsoring us again this year, but for stepping up to help with the AGM as one of our breakout room hosts. A shout out to Paul Dornbos and his company at Thornbush Landscaping. Paul, we appreciate you being there for us. Ken and Sarah Kehoe, we mentioned earlier, they're always in our corner and always there and always willing to help out. And their donation every year is a huge part of our river safety program. So thank you. Brad Mayhew, the team at Boat Warehouse, they are the world's largest four-winds and load dealer. They have no boats like most marinas, so they're having a good year, I suppose, but I wish they would have more boats. I'm sure they do as well. Formerly known as the Gananoque Boat Line, TIA thanks Ross McCarney, City Cruises by Hornblower for being an Admiral sponsor this year. And as mentioned earlier, we really owe a huge debt of gratitude to Tim Lanigan, Joe Powell, the donation of space on their property for us to store our new sea container to hold all of our river safety inventory is deeply appreciated. And we send a big thank you out to them. Thank you. Our next group of Admiral sponsors actually includes the kitchen sink. And TI extends a genuine thank you to the following businesses. Sean and Andy Clark from Clark's Marina. They're a legacy provider on the river. I remember taking airplane rides with their grandfather, Ed, which many of us probably did, but we really appreciate not only their sponsorship, they're also participating in our new environmental program on the fish line recycling program, and they've stepped up and they're keeping an eye on a brand new shoal marker that we've got just out front of their place, so thank you. David Craig, this is where the kitchen sink comes in, but he's always been there for us from Mobile Kitchens Canada. And David's one of those guys that pays. It's almost like he's got it set up in his Google Calendar. We get paid by David every year in February, long before Troy and Dave and I start picking up the phone. So thank you, David. We appreciate that. A brand new sponsor this year, Matthew and the team at Village Key Marina. Very, very happy to have you on board this year. So thank you. Incorporated way back in 1907, so not quite as old as Huck's, but close, but under new ownership since 2020, Lansdowne Tell and the Nexicom Incorporated Group are on board this year as an Admiral sponsor. Thank you. Scott Lewick and the fine folks at Cumberland Private Wealth Management. They're a leading independent wealth management company. They've been doing it for 24 years in business since 1997. And Devin Updegrove from Updegrove Plumbing. Devin is a Howe Islander and he knows the river well and he knows how to fish the river. He didn't hesitate. We reached out to Devin to see if they would step up and help us out with our fish line recycling program. And there was absolutely no hesitation. So Devin, thank you very much for that. We're very pleased to present the final group of Admiral sponsors for 2021, but we did want to acknowledge that in spite of the lingering effects of COVID, and I mentioned that earlier, and the financial impact that the pandemic has had on so many organizations, along with the high water levels, we just couldn't be more pleased. It's certainly a high level of sensitivity on behalf of Troy and Dave and I in reaching out. It's always difficult, and as a past business owner, I appreciate the challenges that so many are facing, but the overwhelming response, not only this year, but last year, was really not something we had factored into our planning. We had fully anticipated a pretty tough year on business sponsorship. I'm pleased to announce that we have a record number of sponsors this year. There's over 36 Admiral sponsors that have stepped up and another 33 captain sponsors. So that is by far and large the largest group of business sponsorship that we've ever garnered. And, you know, really we're sitting here trying to come up with a way to say thank you. And it's extremely difficult. The words just don't come. So we'll have to leave it on thank you. And a final shout out to this group, Adam Allure and Wave Boating. Adam, of course, many of you will know, Adam fell in love working at Gordon Marine. He was a gas jockey, the greatest job in the world, and his wave navigation app is world class, and we thank him for his help with our shoal marking map, which Peter mentioned you can view on the TIA website. Brad and Michelle Moulton from Moulton Tree Service. Brad and his group get some pretty neat views of the river. He's high up in these trees, and Brad has always been a big supporter of the work that TIA has done. We thank you for being there this year. Dan from Eastern Marine, Dan Hicks, we can always count on you, Dan, and your team to support the work that we're doing in the river and within the community. A new sponsor for 2021, we welcome Greg and Pex Marina. We appreciate you stepping up this year, and we're proud to have you as part of what we do. Peter Dalton and Daltco Electric. Peter was a captain sponsor last year, felt that he should step that up this year, and we hope he does the same again next year. Peter, thank you very much. And finally, a big shout out to Renee Carver. Renee, we couldn't do this without you. You've been there from the beginning, and our monthly meetings and the support that you've been able to garner for TIA through both your efforts and that of Zoom are deeply appreciated, and we want to acknowledge that. So 1,000 thanks to you, Renee, and we appreciate everything you do. Thank you.